Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. And welcome to another Sunday Live where we do a 20 question mock test. Answer all your questions about the theory test and any questions you may have about the driving test. So, hopefully, you guys have had a good weekend so far. Let me just get rid of these headphones. Right, so let me put my windows up to make sure I can see what's going on. So hopefully you guys had a good weekend so far. For those of you who've been studying, the studying's been going well. I can hear myself in the background. I need this one and I need this one. So let's just say good morning to some of you guys who already turned up. Annette, that's the wrong one. Let's go here. Annette, good morning to you. And how are you? Con, good morning to you. I've not seen your name before, so welcome. Unless you're a silent watcher. Annavin, hopefully I'm saying that correct. Good morning to you. Prince, good morning to you. Selena, good morning to you. Hopefully things are going well with you. I'm trying to work all this out. It's a long words. Hardy, Funky, Mimi. Hopefully I'm saying that right. But anyway, I've definitely not seen your name before, so welcome to you. April, good morning. Daniel Water. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Good morning. Good Mr. D. Good morning, Rit Queen. Right. So like I said, this is where we do a 20 question mock test just to test your general knowledge and give you a chance to ask any questions that you want to ask about your theory tests, driving tests, any concerns that you may have. I can answer them here while we are live. I will do a demonstration of the hazard perception. That's standard now because the amount of emails I get each and every week. So that definitely be part of the live every single week. Infinity, good morning to you. Yeah, it has been. Definitely been blessed. You brag away. Finally passed my theory on Friday. Yeah, you've done all the hard work. So yeah, let me just go to this scene. Yeah, so brag about it. Let me know what scores you got. Put it in the comments. What did you get out of 50? What did you get on hazard perception? And what's your next step? Driving lessons or driving test? Good morning. And good morning. So if you got a question, please put it in the comment section. Q semicolon. Let me just put it in the chat so you guys know what it looks like. I should have a Q semicolon. It makes it easier for me to find because otherwise it looks like a comment, so I may skip it. Not deliberately, just because, like I said, it looks like a comment because some of you guys do talk to each other while you're in the chat. But if you put a Q semicolon, I would definitely see it and answer any questions we may have. So the way that I normally do this, if you guys are new, I'll do an overview of the theory test because I don't assume that you guys know how the theory test works. There's quite a few that don't know how it works. It's 50 question, multiple choice. You've got 4 options and you choose obviously 1 out of the 4. The questions are made up of categories. Just in case you didn't know, the categories are 14 of them. Road signs, road and road sign marking, safety in your vehicle, incident, accidents, emergencies, and so on and so on. And on the apps, I say this every single week, on the apps, it's 770 odd questions you got in total to work from. I do suggest you go from category to category, but you have to do you. And the reason why I say that, because like I said, on the apps, 700 something questions, they are sampled questions. I repeat, they are sampled questions. Some of you are still doing the apps thinking, yeah, I'm going to go into the real tests because the questions are going to be worded the same. No, the questions are worded slightly differently. And there's going to be some questions you've never seen before. The reason for that is because on the app, it's 770 odd questions. On the real test, they've got a database between 1,200 and 1,500 questions. That's almost double the app version because they do not release all the questions. So when you're studying on the app, just be prepared that the questions may be worded slightly differently and it may be questions that you've never seen before. You have a total of 57 minutes to get your 50 questions done. You need 43 out of 50 when you've passed that side of, or when you've done that side of things. Then you move on to your hazard perception. As I mentioned, I will do a demonstration at the end of the live, show you how to actually beat the system if you follow this method. You need 44 out of 75. It's 14 videos in total. 13 of them have single hazards, one as in score 5. One of them's got a double, 2 5s, 10, and you need 44 out of 75. Your average across the 14 videos when you finish has to be 3 or more. If it's less than 3, it's going to be a fail. There's no way you're going to pass it if your average is less than 3. But like I said, I will show you how to beat the system. And what you're looking for in terms of answers is safety. That's all they look for. The driving test is based on safety and control. That's what the examiner looks for. And your theory test is no different. It's looking for safe outcomes. If it's not a safe outcome, then it's going to be a controlled outcome. And that's normally your motorways and first aid type questions. So safety control is what you're looking for as an answer. Right, let me just catch up with you guys in the comments, and then we'll start the mock test. Right, 48 out of 50. So Mr. Magical 50 by 2, but still a decent score. 55 out of 75. Planning driving classes. And or ferry for motors. I don't understand what you mean by that, but planning for driving classes. Okay. What part of the country are you in? Just out of interest. But well done on your scores though. 48 out of 50 is a decent score. I say decent, it's a good, very good score to be fair. And 55 out of 75, again, it's a decent score as well. I did not pass my theory test. I had 42 out of 50 and 45 out of 75. In hazard perception, please advise. My advice, you got 8 questions wrong. If you've got 8 questions wrong, that would suggest that you've got at least 5 categories minimum normally wrong. So you've got data now. So look at the categories of the questions you got wrong, see how it's made up. But you got at least 5 categories wrong. I would definitely restudy those categories again. And then your hazard perception still needs work because you got 45, which means you scraped it. Because when you go back for another test, the question is going to be different. Hence why you need to strengthen the 8 questions you got wrong, i.e. the 5 categories or more that you got wrong. And hazard perception definitely needs improving because like I said, you scraped it this time. It doesn't mean to say you'll get it next time. So both sections need work on, but that's what I would do. Look at the categories, restudy it, and then go from there. But definitely keep working on the hazard perception though, because you'd be gutted to pass the questions the next time round, but fail the hazard perception. Please, I have fallen. My theory test 4 times. Well, I'm saying that's got to be fail. My theory test. My problem is hazard perception, not multiple choice. Stick around. I will do a hazard perception at the end, show you what you're looking for. If you can't stick around to the end, there's hazard perception videos on my channel which explains it in detail and gives you a demonstration as well. Each live I do at the end of the live. Again, you can watch that if you can't stick around to the end. My theory is coming up on Friday the 13th. Our lot is Friday the 13th as well, 5 p.m. If you're superstitious. But we always book our theory test on a Friday where possible. So it is Friday the 13th for those guys. But they're doing their boot camp this week. So I expect them to pass at the end of the boot camp. Looking forward to gaining more knowledge this morning, first timer. You're welcome, Sigan. If you've got any questions while we're here, let me answer it and send you in that test Friday the 13th. A lot more confident, a lot more positive. Also, please come back next week. Let us know how you got on. I would appreciate you to turn up next Sunday. Hopefully with good news. Oh, the Daniels, how are you? I've not seen you for a little while. Hopefully you are well. And man, good morning to you. I've not seen you. Well, I think he was here last week maybe. But anyway, welcome. Still waiting. Chase them up. There's not much I can say because, like I said, it's the DVSA. The DVSA work to their own time scale, but you want something from them, you need to chase them up. Even if it becomes, they may say the same thing. It's in the post. We're sorting it out. Blah, blah, blah. Keep chasing. Unfortunately, you may have to hang on the line a little bit because they're not the fastest answering the phones. But you want your license from them, so you need to keep chasing them with that. Good morning, sir. Albie Success. Again, I've not seen your name before, so welcome to you. Thank you. 48 missed it by 2 and 52 as well. Yeah, let me know. First of all, congratulations on passing. And thank you for coming to let me know, because like I said, I've not seen your name before, so obviously you've broken your silence. Let me know what your next steps are. Driving tests or driving lessons. Ferry test for motors to lower the insurance next year. Currently I'm driving motorbike. Right, I'm with you. Okay, and you're in Derby as well. I've been through there, but I've not been to visit, but I've actually been through Derby a couple of times. Passed my ferry yesterday. 49, missed it by 1. 66. Wow. Thank you for coming to let me know how you got on. Really high scores. Let me know what your next steps are. Driving test or the driving lessons. Well, that's a high score though. 66 and 49. Well done to you. How can the science of I'm assuming that means roundabout and mini roundabouts be. How can the science of roundabouts and mini roundabouts? Big roundabouts are in triangles. That's the difference. Big roundabouts are in triangles, and mini roundabouts are blue circle. Remember, triangles are warning, so they're going to warn you of a big roundabout. They're not going to warn you of a mini roundabout because it's small. So there's less accidents, but there's more accidents on the bigger roundabout. So big roundabouts are triangles with the arrows in them, and mini roundabouts are blue circles with arrows in them. Oh, you guys are talking to each other. Fine, that's not a problem. Chad, welcome. Right, let me keep the comments coming, but again, please, if you've got a question, type them in. K-Star, good morning to you. I can't ring them for you because one, I don't know your name, address, your details, and secondly, is data protection. I cannot ring on your behalf. Even if mum or dad was to ring, they would ask you if you're present. You have to ring, and you need to talk to them. So I can't do that for you. I repeat, because it's data protection. 4th of June, multiple choice 45, has perception 65, high score. Congratulations on passing again. Please let me know what your next step is. Right, let me do the 20 question mock test. Let's start about, keep the comments coming. But yes, if you've got a question, please put a Q semicolon. It makes my life a lot easier to find it, and you're guaranteed of getting your question answered as well. DWD Malik. Another Friday the 13th. That's okay. So you've arranged with them to get more time. Fine, that's brilliant. Use the time wisely. Literally take your time. Think, breathe as well. And what I mean by that, it sounds really silly when I say that to my students, but when they go in there and they realize how stressful it can be. If you ever feel like you're losing it, anxiety coming in, struggling with the words, just literally just sit back in your seat, take some deep breaths, let the brain get some oxygen. When it gets oxygen, it can think clearly. If you try to think through the stress without sorting that out, you're going to come up with wrong answers. So literally use that time very, very wisely. So I wish you good luck with that. I've got a problem with memorizing. With that word memorizing, once you start memorizing, you're asking for trouble. Because like I said to you, I know you're talking about stopping distance only, but in general, when students memorize, in my experience of teaching the theory test, when you guys memorize the questions and answers, you're memorizing the app question and answers. But when it's worded differently on the test, it throws the brain out of sync, because now it doesn't recognize what it looks like, and that's when the panic freaks in. But the answer to your question, no, you don't need to know the stopping distances. The old formula You don't need to know that. So what's stopping distance at 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, and so on and so on. What you do need to know is the stopping distance in the dry is 2 seconds. The stopping distance in the wet is 4 seconds or double. They can word it either way. And the stopping distance in ice and snow is up to 10 times longer. 2 seconds, 4 seconds or double, and up to 10 times longer is what you do need to know. But the distance itself, 30, 40, 50, you don't need to know anymore. They've been taking it out. So let's start this mock test. Good morning to you. Share screen. Right, that's the first question, which was up when we joined live, when I was doing my tech check. Right, so for those of you that are new, let me see if I get my cursor up so you can see what I'm pointing at. Will it work? Yeah, now you can see. Right, read the questions first. So what should you do if anti-lock brakes, ABS, warning light stays on? This is A, this is B, this is C, this is D. Please put the question number. So if you think it's 1A, that's what you want to put. If it hasn't got the question number, I'm not going to show it on screen, especially when we move forwards, because I don't know if we're on the same question, as there's a delay between me and YouTube and you and YouTube. So please type the question number and then the letter of your choice. And again, I repeat, if you guys got any questions, please put a Q semicolon. It's going to make life easier and you'll get it answered for sure, because I'll see it. I did a practice test that asked me to work out stopping distance and it really threw me. Was that on the app? The apps don't do that anymore. Or was it something off online or something like that? Well, either way, it's not a bad thing, because we teach it in the, I teach it in the boot camp. The reason being because you do need to know it for your personal driving. So you've got a visual clue of when you're doing 30 miles an hour, how long it takes you to stop, but it's personal, not for the theory test anymore. Marissa, how are you? Right, you're going for B's, so I've got to assume that B is correct. No difference of opinion. ABS, have brakes. Bring that down. Have brakes checked immediately. Yeah. If there's a problem with your brakes, you need to get them checked as soon as possible. What should you... Hopefully you guys can see that. Right. What should you do if you want to overtake a long, slow-moving vehicle on a busy road? Yeah, I thought it would be online. The apps don't do that anymore. So it's nice that you're using other stuff outside of the apps, don't get me wrong, but just be careful. Some of those websites may not have updated their bits and pieces. If you're using an app, especially if it's paid for, whatever the DVSA change, the app gets changed automatically, and we get access, because I'm licensed just like the apps are, so we get access to questions as they're being released or just before they're released, so we know it's coming in that sense. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with using other online stuff, but it can guide you wrong, as this one's guiding you to learn stopping distance when you don't need to. They're taking that formula out. Chad, let me come back to that in a minute. Some of you not putting the question number. Like I said, please put the question number, then the letter. Otherwise, it doesn't get shown up. You've taken the time to type it in. I'd like to show it if it's possible, but I can't say that you guys are on, because I'm still getting number ones coming through in front of me. C's common answer. Keep well back. He's always going to, with lorries, buses, cyclists, horse riders. It's always going to be, if it's got to keep well back, that's probably going to be the answer. So that you get a good view of the road. what might you expect to happen in this situation? Again, with images, always have a good look at the image, because sometimes there's clues in the image that can lead you to the answer. And then go to your options. Let's deal with Chad's query. Has a perception, if you're getting 47 to 57, that would worry me if you're still getting 47s if you're practicing on a regular basis. 57's high, 47 suggests you're just getting over the pass mark. Once you understand that has a perception, your average should be, for me personally, should be above 50. But the main thing, you're passing. So I would just give you a bit more practice on that. If you're getting around 35 to 42, every time I do a theory test, normal average, 35 to 42, that suggests you don't understand it. Because you said, I flag questions I don't know, revisit and read them every day. Yeah, just because you're flagging it and reading it doesn't mean so you understand it, hence why you're getting it wrong on a regular basis. That's why your score's on average. You're not taking the information in and understanding the information to move forward, which is a common mistake you guys make. You think, I got the question wrong, go back, read it, read what the correct answer is, and then that should be okay for the next time. But the thing is, if you don't understand what the answer was and why it was the correct answer and why your answer was wrong in the first place, you tend to get the average score, which is what Chad's getting. It's about understanding the question. Hence why I said you understand on the overview, when I said to you, looking for a safe option, you need to understand why it is safe or why it was safe. You also need to understand, if you got the question wrong, why your question's wrong. It's a mindset thing. Again, like I said, when we do this in the boot camp, a lot of students realize when they ask the question, there was one, the first thing the pupil said is a motorway question, and how do you make a phone call? Where should you stand when you make a phone call? And she said, behind the car. I said to her, why did you choose to answer? Because the car is stopped. So in her mind, because the car was stopped, it was safe. But when I explained to her that she's still behind the car on a 70-mile-an-hour road, it now registered, hold a minute, that can't be safe if I'm standing behind my car on the hard shoulder on a 70-mile-an-hour road. So sometimes it's worth understanding why you chose the wrong answer so you don't make the same mistake again. But you also need to understand why the answer is what it is, so you keep choosing the right answer. So sometimes it's just about a mindset. You can read a question and answer all day long. It doesn't mean to say the brain's registered it. That's also to your follow-up question, Chad, as well. How to learn more. It's understanding. And again, I repeat, which I said last week. What are we on? 3? Let me cover the 3s. Don't be afraid to Google some more information. You guys just ask, answer, read, and move on. Google the information. Use AI. Use all the tools at your disposal. You are learning about the theory test, so there's nothing wrong with going outside of the app. Raider Gamer, hi to you. So do some change your answer just in time. Don't be afraid to put some extra work in. It's not just going to be sitting down watching apps or watching my videos. Sometimes you need to dive a little bit deeper, Google some stuff, and use AI to explain some stuff. The more work you put in, the better the results going to be. And I repeat, you're going to need this for your driving lessons anyway. You struggle with the theory test. That doesn't help me. What do you struggle with? Nicolette. I haven't seen that name in ages. First of all, good luck with it tomorrow. Please come back next week. Let us know. If you've got any questions you want to ask while we are live, please ask away. Let me send you in there tomorrow nice and happy. Yeah, like I said, it's very simple to just read the question, read the answer, why it was what it was. But the question is, do you understand it? You need to challenge yourself. This is for all of you, not just for Chad. You need to challenge yourself and ask yourself, well, why did I pick that particular answer? Because the more you understand why you're doing stuff, then you don't make the same mistake. You should learn from mistakes. All right, so freeless. Hey, traffic will move into the left-hand lane. The right lane's closed off. Yeah, let's go for that. After a collision, someone is unconscious in their vehicle. When should you call the emergency services? Sorry, let's just go back to, first of all, I didn't say to morning, Emmanuel. Just was clicking straight away. Good morning to you. Anavin, I hope I'm saying that correct. I have my ferry booked for next month. I keep getting 47. I have my ferry booked next month. I keep getting 47 out of 50 on the mock test. How do I improve? First of all, you're passing on the regular. If that's what you keep getting, 47. If you was my student going for a test, especially next month, I would definitely be happy with that. How do you improve? Similar to what I said to Chad. Ask yourself why you keep getting the 3 questions wrong. Is it the same categories? Do you understand why you're getting the questions wrong? Do you understand why the questions you got wrong and why the answer is what it is? Those are the things you've got to be asking yourself. Also, what you've got to be asking yourself is as well, how long is it taking you to do the mock test? If it's really quickly, maybe you're making simple errors. There's lots of reasons to it, but you have to explore that. This is where you look deep into yourself, ask yourself why, which is my common go-to when we do the bootcamp. Why? Because once you understand that, then it makes life a little bit easier moving forwards. The questions, everybody's going to struggle with the questions, Ray the Gamer, because you said you struggle with the theory tests. That's the common reason why people struggle, is the questions. That means nothing to me. Road sites. I'm assuming you mean road signs. If road signs is your struggle, then go to the category of road signs and do it there. It tells you the shapes, colors, and what the meanings behind it, and it covers all the questions in the app as well. So there's your starting point. Go to the category itself, isolate the category, and just do the category. C is the common answer. C is common answer as soon as possible. Yeah, always call an ambulance as soon as possible if one is not visible. Road signs. Which sign shows that you're entering a one-way system? Oh, there it is, still there. Good morning, Doran Silent Reader. Follow your page. I did not read this. 63 has a reception high score. I can't pronounce your name, but Malola. Sorry. First of all, thank you for breaking the silence. Congratulations on passing, and definitely thank you for coming to let me know that you've done the job of passing. 47 is a high score, 63 is a very high score. And let me know what you're doing next. Driving lessons or driving test, but congratulations on passing. Thanks for trying to write my theory test for the first time on Wednesday. Passed 44 out of 50 just about, but I'll take it. And 58, 75. I've been trying to book for driving test, but I couldn't get a date. Yeah, same for everybody across the country. Just got to keep trying. Monday morning, 6 a.m. is when they release new dates. So if you want to get up early, jump online. Hopefully you can grab one. You may have to do it over 2 or 3 weeks, but the Monday morning at 6 a.m. is when they release the test dates. I would suggest you be ready to go online for 5 to 6. So when it's there, have your license ready, theory test certificate ready, and a method of payment. So if it's there, you can bag it, because it gives you 15 minutes to sign the deal, basically. But yeah, Monday morning, 6 a.m. is your best chance. Other than that, you just got to keep jumping online every so often. Oh, Joe, you got your test on Wednesday. Well, I wish you luck with that. Ask any questions before we sign off. Let me know how you get on next week. I wish you luck with that. Right, 5. Let's find the 5s. How many of you actually got studying but no dates? Scared to book it for whatever reason? Just not thought about booking it yet? Gonna wait a little bit longer. Five B seems to be common. Yeah, one way. There's only one arrow, so it goes straight with that one. You can eliminate this, and it says one way, so it has to be B. Your car breaks down on a level crossing. What's the first thing you should do? Xavier, welcome to Rutherford. I've not seen your name before, so welcome to you. Passed my theory of a week, and your videos were pretty big help. 46. Well, thank you for coming as well to the live to let me know you passed. 46 out of 50, 62, 75. What's your next steps? Are you looking to take your driving lessons or your driving test? And what part of the country are you in? Oscar, well done to you. Again, congratulations on passing. Thank you for letting me know. And again, please let me know what your next steps are. Let me know if you've passed your theory test. Let me know what your next steps are. Because it's not for me personally. I'd like to know that you guys are gonna use the theory as in pass your driving test and get your license, complete the job. Right. B is common. That's the last one there. What was it? B. Leave your vehicle. Yeah, get everybody out. Safety. You can't be replaced, but your car can, especially if you've got the right insurance cover. How can you help to prevent your car radio being stolen? There's a couple of comments up here that I've missed. I did my theory test last month. I had 47 out of 50, so you've passed that. 26 on hazard perception, which is really, really low. What worries me is I was getting 55, 68 in my hazard perception test. Please, how do I improve my hazard perception? If you're getting 55 and 68 on your apps when you're practicing, and then you went on the real test and got 26, that's just nerves. You got to ask yourself what happened. Again, it comes down to one. That's always my first question to a student is what happened on the day. Did you click a few times? Did you click too many times? Got too many zeros? But that's nerves. That's a massive drop from 26. 55 to 68 on hazard perception. Then you got 26 on the day of the test. So something went wrong on the day. You must have changed something from the apps. And that is only what you can answer. Because there's no improvement needed. If you're getting 55 to 60 on the apps and you're saying, how do I improve on my hazard perception? There's no improvement needed because you're getting what you need to do on the apps, but you're just not delivering it in the test itself. So like I said, you have to ask yourself what changed. I would suggest that you look at, if you've got 26, you either got lots of zeros, and again, it'd be why did you get the zeros? Only you can answer because you took the test, which means you either clicked too many times or you missed the videos altogether. But like I said, if you clicked too many times, it would have told you at the end of each video. So did you get, basically you clicked in an unacceptable manner. If you didn't click that, you missed the hazard altogether. But the preparation says you're good enough to pass it, but something drastically happened, that's almost half the scores you're getting. 26. Yeah, that's 26 to 52. Yeah, that's almost half. There's something went wrong on the day. Nerves, panic, whatever it is, but only you can answer that. Let me come back to these two. I will be on 7. Chad said he's not ready for the test yet. At least you're honest, which is the main thing. We are 7 now. We're looking for the 7s. Sometimes when you're doing, especially if you're taking a test and it doesn't go your way, you do have to look at yourself and say to yourself, right, what did I change? What did I do? Was I nervous? Did I panic? Because sometimes it's not always about not knowing the answer. It's just the way you react in a test. Because I get students who go in there and they really panic. It's only because their knowledge is strong from the training in the 5-day boot camp. But driving test is a prime example. A student drives really well on the driving lesson and then has a nightmare on the day of the driving test because it's a total stranger. And it's a test situation. 7C is the correct answer. The key there is it's got radio in the question. It's got radio here and it's got radio here. So you can eliminate these two. And then you're left with these two. And then the question is which one's the safest out of both of them. And obviously with security in it, that's going to be the safest option. That's how you can break it down for those of you that struggle in terms of breaking down questions and answers. Because sometimes, like I said, there's clues in the question. You service your own vehicle. How should you dispose of your old engine oil? My question is, I'm approaching a level crossing with the barrier and the operator says it's safe for me to cross. What do I do if the barrier is still closed? I can't give the option that because that question is not on the apps. That's a real life question from the ferry test itself. So it seems like you've taken the ferry test already. You'll have to give me the option so I know which one to give you the answer to. So I can't give you an outstanding answer for that. The obvious one is open the barriers both at the same time and drive across without stopping and then go back and close the barriers. But like I said, without the options, I can't give you the answer to that because that's not an app question. That's a real life ferry test question. And they give you, and the reason why I'm saying I need the options because they give you different options based on how they word the question. So the wording may not be the exact. You give me there as well. Thanks for your training about my ferry test. Wednesday pass first 44 out of 50, 58. I think I've done this one already, but yeah, it's like I said, Monday morning 6 a.m. is when they release new dates. I'm getting around the 38 to 40 mark. If you keep getting, like I said, if you keep getting that, you keep making the same mistakes. You just need to explore why you're getting the same mistakes. I've got some 7s and 8s coming through together. I'm just trying to find the 8s because there's 7 still coming through. Can you explain how to click on enhanced perception? I'll do that at the end after the 20 question mock test. If you're not going to stick around to the end, then there's videos on the channel that explains it in detail. C's common answer. Take it to the local authority, yeah. Get it disposed of safely. Which vehicle will use a blue flashing beacon? How many of you are taking driving lessons while you're studying for the ferry as well? Can you just put yes or me in the comment section? So how many of you taking driving lessons while you're studying for the ferry test? Well, hopefully you're seeing a different result, but your studying pattern wasn't the problem, Selena. Your problem was you're making silly mistakes with the answers. So regardless of whether you're mixing up your learning or not, as long as you're not making the same mistakes and silly answers, your knowledge is pretty solid. There's not a problem with your knowledge. You're just picking silly answers when you should know the answer, because we covered it in the boot camp. So I'll come back to that in a minute. Sorry, let me just deal with it. Let me start this. I'll come back to that in a minute, Selena. I'm still nines. So you're driving while you're learning as well. Okay, I'll come back to that in a second. Selena, how often are you taking driving lessons? Just out of interest, how often are you taking your driving lessons? Is it weekly, once or fortnight? And is it hourly or 2 hours? 9 A's common, bomb disposal. Flashing beacon is emergency services, saving human life. So it's going to be a bomb disposal based on this one. Snow plows, amber, slow moving. Breakdown is amber, slow moving. Motorway maintenance is amber, slow moving. What can you achieve if you drive smoothly? Just out of interest, Daniels went for D. D was motorway maintenance vehicle, which is amber. Every 2 weeks for 2 hours. Okay. Millicent passed the theory test, 47 out of 50, 68. 75. Well done to you, Millicent. Thank you for letting me know. Because D, slow moving, is a maintenance road, is a motorway maintenance vehicle, which is slow moving. Blue is emergency service, your fire engine, police, ambulance, bomb disposal. That's the reason why. Anything slow moving is amber. Doctors' cars are green, and your traffic officers are red. And obviously, what we just saw, the bomb disposal is blue because it's human life saving. Right, C seems to be the increased fuel consumption. Increase in journey times. Can't increase your times. Reduction in journey times. Can't do that. Reduction in fuel consumption. I'm looking at D. You guys are putting C. That's the reason why it didn't make sense. What does it mean if your insurance policy has an excess of 500? You see, that's with my dyslexia kicking. I'm reading D as an answer, and you guys are putting C, telling me it's correct, and I'm reading D. And that's the reason why I say read the questions carefully, because like I said, that didn't make no sense to me when I was reading D. So let me deal with some of this. All right, so Selena, let's go back to Selena. All right, I've been mixing up my learning and using mock test papers too and Googling. Right. As I was saying, that is not your problem. Okay, as I mentioned to you, to do the studying, what you should be doing is doing mock tests. I think it was doing mock test and stepping it up as you approach your tests, which was, I can't remember whether it's this month or next month is your test. It's not mixing up your learning, because even though you're mixing up your learning, you could still be making silly mistakes. Only you can answer that, because I'm assuming, because you said mock test papers, if you're doing mock test papers and Googling, are you now passing or are you still getting your 41s, 42s? Because like I said, if you're still getting that, the same problem's still there. You're clicking silly answers. That's what you need to overcome. It's not mixing up your learning. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying mixing up your learning is wrong, but that wasn't the problem in the first place. The problem was you're making silly mistakes. Ripton. Passed my driving test and it was because of you. Thing. Well done to you. Passed your driving test, so you are now legal driving around. Hopefully you stay safe for the next, at least next 2 years, but and beyond. So well done to you. Congrats. And thank you for coming back and putting it out. Another one completed their journey. It's nice to get your theory test. Don't get me wrong. My aim is for all of you to pass your theory test at some point, but ideally use it and get your license so you can do your driving without someone next to you. Yolanda's taking driving lessons. Right, do you guys find that the driving lessons are helping your theory? That's the point I'm trying to make. Harsh. 49 out of 50, just missed it by 1. The magical 50, 67. Wow. Now you're taking driving lessons. Well done. Thank you for breaking the silence and letting me know how you got on. 49 out of 50. Really well done. Congrats. Again, but you're taking your driving lessons as well. What are we on 11? Let's look for these 11s. You're welcome. The first one. Right, A is the common answer. Excess. You have to pay the first. You have to pay the first 500. Yep, first. Yep. Excess is what you have to pay at first, and then anything above, the insurance company will pay the rest. What could cause you to crash if a level is allowed to get too low? I waited a few weeks to get a driving test. My first choice was not available. Thankful I had the other test centers. What area are you in, Yolanda, to have options? Just let me know what area you are in. But I'm assuming you got the date now that you are looking for as well. But let me know what area you're in. Sana, I passed my first test last Monday. I want to say thank you so much for your videos and this live stream last week. Congratulations on passing. Thank you for coming back and letting us know how you got on. Appreciate that. Again, hopefully you're gonna move on to your driving lessons or driving test. Looking to book one if you can find one. But yeah, definitely thank you for coming to the live and letting me know how you got on. That is I'll tell you what, so let me come back to that in a second. Ripton, for me anyway, as a driving instructor, when I take my pupils to a driving test, because most of my pupils will pass the theory test with me anyway. So that's one step. That's a nice feeling when they do pass. And then when they take their, sorry, B is the correct answer. Yeah, again, breaking it down, if you, what could cause you to crash? Not using the brakes properly is going to cause you to crash. If you've got brake in it, then eliminate the rest of them. Like I said, there's clues sometimes in the questions. You have to be calm enough to work it out. A driver's behavior has upset you. How can you get over the incident safely? Yeah, sorry, Ripton. So as I said, most of my students that I take to driving tests pass their theory test with me. So for me, that's a massive achievement. And then when they pass their driving test, that's even greater. There's nothing, for me personally, there's nothing better than the people passing the driving test. And for me to know that you guys have gone on to pass your driving test, even though it's not me taking you, it's a nice feeling to know. That's why I keep asking, what's your guys' next step? Because as much as you got 2 years to pass your driving test, 2 years can go like that, especially now with the waiting time the way it is. Before you know it, it could be 4 months, 6 months before you can take a driving test. And if it doesn't go according to plan and you got to wait another 4 to 6 months, that's already a year gone. So that's why I keep saying to you guys, if you can study while you're taking driving lessons, the better, because one, the driving helps the theory helps the driving. And the second thing is, once you pass the theory, technically you're good to go and book a driving test straight away, rather than having to now go and look for lessons, wait another few months before looking for a driving test. But it's nice to know that you guys are actually getting your licenses and looking to go and be on your own. No one next to you to tell you turn left, turn right. Do, 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 do. Sorry, I'm just trying to, let me just start these comments, come back to these comments. 13. Hertfordshire. You're not a million miles from me, to be fair, because I'm in. What test centre did you go for in terms of Hertfordshire? Because I'm Bedfordshire. You guys are going for B's and C's on this one. I've got to assume B's correct, because majority of you are going for B's, but there's quite a few C's on there. What was B? Stop and take a break. Sounds safe. Definitely not. Gesture to them with your hands. Definitely not. If you did that on your test, the examiner's not going to look favorable on you. Stop, take a break, calm down. Never let anybody upset you. They want to cut you up. That's down to them and their ignorance. Don't let people upset your day. When may you stop on a clear way? Right, let's deal with some of these comments. Please, how do I book a test date? The date I chose wasn't available. Is there a way to see if available dates in a test center as we have in driving theory test booking? No, if they haven't, if you go online and they've got nothing, that means they've got nothing. Literally. The date I chose wasn't available. That doesn't make sense. I mean, the day you wanted wasn't available, not the date you chose. But yeah, with the driving test, if you go online and they've got nothing on in the calendars, there is nothing available and there's nothing you can see. It's just about going on a regular basis, different times, different days, sometime late at night, and see if there's a cancellation and then grab it with that one. But there's no other ways of seeing dates. So don't keep the dates in the test center. It's all online. Getting scores 43, but I can see the mistakes I'm making, second guessing too much. You're still second guessing. Again, the question you got to ask yourself, why? Go with your gut instinct. Just choose an answer, stick with it, unless you know it's going to be wrong. But don't, because again, the conversation we had is that you're going back and changing answers from the right answer to the wrong answer. You need to stop second guessing. But at least now you're getting 43s, which yours getting slightly below before. So at least you're heading in the right direction. I'm writing my test this Friday the 13th. How best can I practice to utilize the time I left to prepare? Good question. The question I would ask, okay, notice I'm saying why, not why, how, what's your scores basically is what I would say. If you're passing, then what I would do, if you're passing a mock test on a regular, I would do 3. If you're passing mock tests on the regular and test is on Friday, tomorrow's Monday, I would do 3 mock tests. I wouldn't do back to back because you need the brain needs time to breathe. But do 3 mock tests, probably between now and Monday, maybe Tuesday at the latest. And then with each mock test, if you're using the 4-in-1, because I'm only talking about the 4-in-1 app because I know how they operate. Look at your strongest category. Then you can leave that alone, and then you want to look at the weakest category. Let's just say, for example, you took 3 mock tests, passed all 3, but your weakness was road signs. Then you know there's an issue there if it's popping up on 2 or 3 or 3 out of 3. If it's different weaknesses on all mock tests or 3 mock tests and you're still passing, you're pretty much standard good to go. It's just how the question's going to be worded for you on the day. But if you're getting the same category as a weakness on all your mock tests or the majority of your mock tests, it suggests there's still a weakness in that particular category. And that's what I would do. I would also still make sure I do the hazard perception as well. Don't take it for granted if you are already passing. And as you approach Wednesday, Thursday, again, using the apps, I will do a full mock test. So 50 questions and the hazard perception to train you to be mentally strong for when you go in there Friday. Because most of you do mock tests, just questions, and then you do mock tests, hazard perception separately. You want to do it together before your tests at some point, so you get the feeling of being stressed out for an hour or 20 minutes or whatever it takes you to do it. That's what I would do with the time you got left. 14s. So let me just try to find these 14s. Hello to you, sir. There's the first one. Thank you so much for helping for your exam. You're welcome. I don't know if there's a general thank you as in helping everybody or it's just for you, but you guys are welcome. B is common answer. When may you stop on a clearway? Answers daylight rush. When nope, never is correct. Why is it dangerous to leave rear fog lights switched on after the fog has cleared? Joe, so for example, my driving instructor has his own theory app, which helped me because it's explained the answers and also it gives information why. Brilliant if he's got that. I will also add the apps have the answers, explain answers. They do it in their way, but the apps also have the correct answer and explanations as well. If you guys go again in a bit more detail to read the explanations. But if your instructor's helping you out with that, it's got its own app. That's brilliant. How can I book you as a driving instructor? You can't book me as a driving instructor. I do intensive courses and I'm booked up in advance, so that ain't gonna happen. What area are you in anyway? Just out of interest. 15. Again, you guys all agreed on this one, A. Let's wait for a few more to come through. Okay, while I'm waiting for this as well, because we're whizzing through this, I think the questions were very easy today. What's your, apart from hazard perception, that's standard. Everybody struggles with hazard perception on the theory test. But what's the biggest struggle for you guys on the theory test? Whether it's a category, particular question, the wording, just let me know. So what's your biggest struggle with the theory test? Do not put hazard perception because I know that's standard. And then maybe I can do a couple of videos relating to those issues. 15A. It may be confused. Yeah, if you didn't know, fog lights at the back are red, same like brake lights. So that's the reason why. Where would parking your vehicle cause an obstruction? Road markings. Okay. That's not surprising. I'll be honest. I've said it quite a few times during my videos and in the boot camp as well. When this has just come through, when as instructors, we've been campaigning for years. I've been instructor for 30 years. The theory test has been 20 odd years. And I've been teaching it for about 9, 10 years. I think I'm going into my 10th year teaching this now. And we've been campaigning for years for the government to change the wording because it's open to interpretation and the word's misleading. And they don't give you the context behind the question sometimes. They're not going to change that anytime soon. So we're stuck with the wording. Hence why when I started the channel in the first place, it was to try to clear it up. Notice when I explain the answer, I try to give you a bit more detail behind the answers. But the wording, unfortunately, the government's not going to change that. They've got no plans on changing that anytime soon. So we just have to stick with that. I keep making videos trying to explain what the wordings are. But that's why I say with you guys now, don't be afraid to Google and AI, type in aquaplaning, type in coasting, and see what the AI gives you back so you understand it. Because it's easy enough to say, yeah, the question said coasting, but did you really understand what coasting is? Again, I keep referring this to the boot camp. When we talk about coasting, I show them with the app because I've got the app to explain to my pupils in the car what coasting, because it's really important. Once they understand what coasting is, and how the clutch works, stalling becomes non-existent. The common reason why people stall because they don't really understand how the clutch works. And so once they see the diagram, it clears it up. So when I explain about coasting, it clears it up. So yeah, with wording, don't be afraid to Google and use AI. But that's not going to change, unfortunately. Road markings, I have got a video on my channel about road markings. I'm due to do another one when I get the time to film it, but that is coming. 16B, front of a property entrance. Yeah, driveway, an example. Oh, ADA's question. What does it mean if the electronic stability control ESC indicator light comes on briefly while you're driving? You're in Surrey. Again, this conversation came up on Friday in the Zoom. Once that's what I want. Once I pass my theory, I'm going to do intensive course. I'm in Surrey. You don't have to pass. You don't have to pass your theory test to do an intensive course. But you can do the intensive course without passing the theory. It just means you can't book a driving test at the end of it. I will, like I said, this conversation came up on Friday. We're talking about intensive courses. Intensive courses isn't for everybody. That's one thing I will make clear, because it is intense. There's a lot of information coming at you thick and fast, and you're driving for hours and hours, and you're doing it on a daily basis. Every intensive course is structured differently. In terms of the intensive course I do, it's Monday to Friday, 4 hours a day. So my students do 9 to 11. We take a half an hour break, and then we go 11:30 to 1:30. So it's 4 hours a day, 20 hours a week. And then at 4:30, they come on and do the boot camp with me to get their theory test. So like I said, this week's pupils, I got it on Friday the 13th at 5 p.m. And then I expect them to pass. And then Saturday, Sunday, they can book their driving test, and we start looking for a date for them. But going back to the original point I'm making, intensive courses isn't for everybody. You need, because like I said, it's information coming thick and fast. My advice that I normally give to people that are looking for intensive course, I would do 1 or 2 driving lessons first, especially if you've got no driving experience. Do 1 or 2 driving lessons first to make sure you like driving, if that makes sense. Not everybody likes driving. They have to do it, but it doesn't mean say you like it. And if you're comfortable with that, then look to do an intensive course. But I wouldn't dive straight into an intensive course. And that's me, someone who does intensive courses every week, telling you it's not for everybody. 17. Can you please explain number 17, which is what we're on, right? I'll do that in a second. Right, Joe had a comment here. I just want to make sure it's related to the same question. 17b, I really found this question hard until I started to to do some research. Okay, 17b. Right, ESC. They ask this question, as you can see on the real test, and they ask you what does ESC stands for. You don't need to know what it does. It's on all modern day cars have this. It's an onboard computer. It just makes the car stable. So I repeat, let me do the first question, not this question. They ask you what does ESC stand for. They give you 4 options. You must remember it stands for electronic stability control. That's what it stands for. I repeat, they're going to give you 4 options. 3 doesn't have stability in it, and obviously 1 does, which is this one. In this one, it's activated. So if it comes on, it means it's kicked in. So the computer senses your wheels are not stable with the tarmac, and it's going to make it happen. That's why it's kicking in. And the computer's overriding your car, basically, and it's making the wheels stay stable and in control with the tarmac. That's what it means, as simple as that. I repeat, you don't need to know how it works. The car does it automatically. But if it comes on, it's activated, it's in operation. And then once the car's made it stable again, it will go back out. If it stays on for a length of time, it means there's a fault, which is another question. If it stays on for a length of time, what's the reason? It's got a fault with it. So that's hopefully if I explain that for you in a clear manner. If I haven't, just ask it again. I'll try and do it in a different way. You're traveling on a motorway. How can you lower the risk of collision when the vehicle behind is following too closely? George, how are you? Passed my driving test. I hope you mean driving test, not theory test. Well done. Congratulations. Another driver has got a license for the summer. Yeah, congratulations, and thank you for coming and letting me know how you got on. Another one completed this journey. Like I said, it's really nice to know that you guys are actually getting your physical driver's license and you're free to go on your own and no more supervising from anyone. Just be sensible out there when you guys get it, because it can be scary for the first couple of times on your Todd, but just be sensible. Don't take risks that you don't need to take. Is he? Yeah, you was in the live last year as well, so you've got your license as well. Well done to you. I see it a lot when I'm driving. Thanks, pass my drive. I hope you're not meaning the ESC symbol. You're seeing it when you're driving, because that means if you're seeing it a lot, you're doing something totally wrong in terms of it keeps coming on. So hopefully you don't mean that. Or you're talking about something else that you're seeing a lot of. Yeah, because if it's coming on a lot in your car, that means you are doing something seriously wrong. Because like I said, it's sensitive the car's not stable, but remember the driver's responsible for that. So if it's not stable, you are not making that driving smooth and controlled. I'm assuming that's 18B, because we're not on 19 yet unless you've got a crystal ball. You just changed it, okay. Yeah, if you guys are seeing amber lights flashing up on your dashboard, it means you're technically doing something wrong. And the car's taking over and trying to correct it. B is the common answer. Increase the distance from the vehicle in front. Yes, make the gap bigger between you and the car in front, so you've got more area to stop in if you need to stop. What does this sign mean? Always look at the image, because there's a couple of clues in there. And then go to your options. Remember, if you guys got any questions, ask it, Q semicolon, ask it, Ask away. There's no such thing as a stupid question. It's stupid not to ask the question, is what I would say. All by about the theory test and driving test. I will clear up any issues about your driving if you're having issues on your driving lessons as well. First 2 hours, D and a C. I've got to say D's the common answer then because I've only seen a couple of C's. So D's got to be correct. We'll see. All lorries use hard shoulder. You can't use the hard shoulder straight away. Go back to what I said at the beginning. You've got to lead to safety or control. Hard shoulders for emergencies only. So get rid of that one. That can't be safe. It's D. Just in case you didn't know, the other question is where would you find it? Where would you see it? Sorry, what type of gradient would you see on this uphill gradient? The lorries carry heavy loads, and obviously they're carrying heavy loads going up a steep hill. They literally go into crawler lane, crawl up the hill slowly, where you guys would be in the left-hand lane doing your 70 miles an hour. So it's for lorries going up a steep gradient, but definitely not driving in a hard shoulder. Last one already. A casualty is not to breathe in normally and needs CPR. At what rate should you press down and release on the center of their chest? Those of you in the boot camp should not be getting this wrong. YouTube's really slow. These 19s are coming through now. C is the common answer. And let's just do these ones as well. And the answer, yeah, 120 beats per minute. So 2 every second, technically. If I ask you how deep you push down on an adult's chest, it's 5 to 6 centimeters. For a child, it's 2 to 3 centimeters. Those are the questions that can ask on the real theory test as well. A couple more C's coming through. Right, and there's the breakdown of the tests. As I mentioned at the beginning, doing an overview, the theory test is made up of 14 different categories. On the 50 questions, they're going to draw questions from those 14 categories across the board. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the most categories we've had on a 20 question mock. I think previous was 9, so it's actually 10 for 20 questions. So I'm breaking it. Wow. Safety in your vehicle, 7 questions. And this is what I'm talking about category, studying categories individually, because if my safety and vehicle knowledge was weak, I could get 7 questions wrong. I'm already down to 43 out of 50, which means I can't afford to make any other mistakes with that. But 7 for a 20 question mock, that's a lot. Anyway, other types of vehicle, hazard awareness, incidents, accidents and emergencies, road and traffic signs, attitude, documents, rules of the road, vehicle handling, safety, margins was how many? 1 out of 1. So that's how the theory test is broken down. I will also add, when you go for the real test, if there's 10 of you in the room, it's 10 different tests. It's not the same test for everybody across the country. It's different tests for the individuals. So if there's 10 of you in the room, then it's going to be 10 different tests. Yes, 50 questions, but 50 different questions. So someone can't leave the room and say, oh, I got asked this question, ask that question for the next person coming in, because it's random. And that's the reason why your knowledge, your general knowledge, has to be pretty much strong. It's similar to, for those of you that watch The Chaser, you know, The Chaser's got pretty much general knowledge across the board on everything. That's how your theory test has to be. You've got to have pretty much good knowledge across all 14 categories. So no matter what category they ask you, you kind of know what the answer is. Right, let me come out of that. Right, have you guys got any questions? Type it in. I will do a demonstration of the hazard perception. At this point, let me just get my iPad up. Right, let me just show you this first. iPad. So I'll do this every week now as well. This is your driving test report sheet. So pass or fail your driving test, you will get a copy of this in your inbox about 10 to 15 minutes after your driving test. The examiner will go through it with you if you agree to it. He'll ask you, do you want to debrief at the end? Say yes, and then he will go through it with you. If you say no, he'll just email it to you, and then you got to work out what went wrong. So if you look at box 17, I'll put a mark in the boxes. That's your theory test right there. So traffic signs, which we got 2 traffic signs, road markings, rules of the road, we've got 1, traffic lights, traffic controllers, other road users. So that's your theory test right there. In terms of, like I said, you're going to use it once you pass the theory test. Some of you are still using the theory test as a means to get to a driving test. You should be using it as a means to help you pass your driving test. But as I said, that's your theory test right there. And then the hazard perception is box 14, which is here. If you didn't know your hazard perception, those red flags or 5s and 4s you're trying to get is you checking the mirrors. That's what the equivalent is. So if you was driving in those videos live, for real, then every time you're clicking, it's you checking the mirrors. That's how I teach my pupils. Problem, click, problem, click. That's what you're seeing on the videos. See a problem that's going to cause you to slow down or change direction. You should be clicking, i.e. checking the mirrors. And that's what you want to be doing, getting your 5s and 4s. But on the videos, you don't do the signaling side of it because you can't sit in a car to see if it's signaling. So all you're focusing on slowing down or changing direction. In other words, moving to the left, moving to the right, because you'll be checking the wing mirrors of doing that. So let me just come out of this quickly and just see these other comments. I had my test last week, was underprepared, spent some time watching your videos and passed with flying colors. Thank you. You're welcome. You're the one who was underprepared, recognized you was underprepared and still put the work and effort in to pass it. So well done to you. And most importantly, thank you for coming to the live and let me know that you've actually passed it. Right, so let me do hazard perception demonstration. Let's get rid of this. Let me get the app out. So what you want to do with the videos when you're watching, you're looking for anything that's going to cause you to slow down or change direction. And then you want to click, and then you want to go 1, 2, click again. So you're clicking 2 times per problem. So let me share my iPad. So I'm going to go for real life 32. The real life clips are poor quality. When you do go for the real test, it's all CGIs. And so they're crystal clear on the bigger screen than what you guys do it on, because most of you still do it on your phones. And it's slightly slower compared to the apps based on the feedback that I get from my students. So I'll do 32. It's got no stars, so I've not seen this. So I'm seeing the same time as you. So you should be scanning from left to right, right to left. There's a car parked up on the... No, it's not. It's moving. Don't see a problem. Car slowing down. Looking to turn right. This car's parked up on the left. I'm going to signal for that. check my mirrors for that, sorry. There's a lorry coming up the side road up ahead. And then I'm going to click again just to make sure. So that's what's caused me to slow down and change direction. So I should have got marked down for that, but keep going because it could have been a double. Again, cars parked up on the left, so I'm going to check for that. Again, still scanning from left to right, nothing else going on, so no need to click. Traffic lights are red. This video is long. 4 out of 5. Just so you can see it, so there's no cheating on that. 4 out of 5. Always review it back to see how you can improve. Just speed it up, because all the other flags was red herrings. I did say lorry's coming out. All right, there you go. And this is why you click twice, right there. I said the lorry's coming out, so you can see the lorry. I can't mark on the iPad. There's a lorry to the left. You can see the yellow a bit above the car. So that's where I called it. That's where I clicked. Now, if you can see it clearly on your screen, that click is before the 5. So if I leave it like that, that's a 0. That's the reason why you go for 2 clicks. Because if the first one's too early, the second one, in my case, landed in a 4. So like I said, the first, that's how close I was to getting a 5. But it's not about you seeing the problem. It's about you getting a score, because I've seen it, I called it, got a 0 for it at that point. I repeat, it's not about you seeing the problem. It's about you getting a score for said problem. And I even went for another 2 clicks just to make sure to get a score. But it always give you the highest mark. In my case, it was a 4. And that's the reason why I stressed you go for 2 clicks. So if there's any comments, let me just take a look. No comments, so you guys are happy with that. All right, let me do CGI. I'll tell you what, let me do the other Liberty Life clip. Let's do 34. Again, I haven't seen this one because there's no stars. So again, looking ahead, scanning from left to right. The reason why you're scanning from left to right, because the road signs are on the pavement. Got the lorry parked up on my right. And the van's coming out. So I'm going to click again. So I should get marked down for that one, because that's the one that's caused me to slow down and stop. Well, no one's let me through. Again, scan the road ahead as far as you can see. And it's how you should be doing when you're driving as well. Scanning the road well ahead. There's a car parked up on the left, so I'm going to click for that. Five out of 5 on that one. So again, let me just show you. No cheating. 5 out of 5. Review it back. I'll just let this play. So again, when I was scanning, there was nothing going on. And then I saw the lorry parked up on the right. So that's just in the 5. And then my second one landed in the 4. The reason why I'm clicking, because the lorry's parked up on my right. As you can see, the van's coming to my side of the road caused me to slow down. So that's the reason why I clicked for that. Even though the obstacle's on the other side of the road. Sorry, excuse me. That's the reason why I clicked for it. So anything that's going to cause you to slow down or change direction is what you want to be clicking on. So hopefully that makes sense. So let me come out of that.
When the area is clear and safe to continue, carefully weave between the obstacles on either sides of the road. Parked vehicles on the left ahead. Beware of car doors opening or pedestrians stepping out into your path.
So those of you that's got a test coming up this week, I wish you luck with that first and foremost. Come back next Sunday, please let us know. For those of you who got a test on Friday the 13th, hopefully you're not superstitious, because like I said, my group have got theirs on Friday the 13th. It's down to you guys to just put the work in and study for that. Don't believe in all that superstition rubbish. And if you are studying but you haven't got a test coming up, think about booking it, as in looking online at your nearest centre, see what dates they've got, pick a date. So for example, we're now 8th of June. Why not give yourself a month, look for 8th of July and book it in and work towards it so you got the incentive, because you can keep going on and on and on and on and studying it. And before you know it, a month has passed, 6 weeks have passed, and you still haven't taken it. The test is only going to go one of two ways when you take it. You're either going to pass it or fail it. If you pass it, happy days, you move on. You now can move on to your driving, book a test, whatever level you're at. But if you fail it, you now got data, so it shows you your weak points, and you know that for a fact. And now you can start to improve on those weak points. When you study, it doesn't show your weak points to a point. Yes, it can show you weak points while you're studying, but it's not in a test situation. There's a pupil that was on here a little while ago, passing hazard perceptions, left, right and center. I think it was 55, 40 something to 55, I think it was. And then went for the real test and got 26. That doesn't mean they don't know the hazard perception, just means on a test situation, they panicked, finger clicked, didn't want to click too many, whatever it was. But test nerves changes stuff. And sometimes you need to sit in a real environment to practice or get the experience of it. Hopefully it's just a one-time experience, you passed it. But if it's not, you've now got data, you've got the experience. It makes you stronger the second time round. That's how you improve. I've not seen any other comments coming through. So in that case, I'm hoping YouTube is still up because you guys ain't commenting. In this case, I'm going to sign out. So I'm going to wish you guys a happy Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Hopefully it's a relaxing one. But whatever you guys decide to do, stay safe. And I shall catch you next Sunday at 10 a.m. where we go again. But good luck with your theory test this week, guys. Be safe.